employability. So invest in something which is related, different, unique, that can enhance your talent index and employability index. With that, I would now invite Mr. Kunal Wali from IBM. Kunal, as I told you, is leading the leadership development function, and he will help us understand this entire talent management landscape vis-a-vis IBM and vis-a-vis how it has become a crucial and critical engine for organizations to drive performance in the company. So Kunal.
Asked the question when he was just introducing the topic. A lot of you, you answered and said, yes, talent management is something that we prefer. But what actually is talent management, and how does an organization work around this particular concept, which you need to understand and which will be useful to you when you are getting into an organization at this stage of your life. You're trying to look for organizations where you can actually make your best foot forward, put your best foot forward, and start your career. But before I start, and I promise I don't have many slides, I just have 3 or 4, but I would want to share my experience, I would want to share my perspective. But before I start, since yesterday, all of us have been sharing with you our experiences. What we felt, how we failed, how we succeeded, what is required, why is it so important to have confidence in yourself, a lot of things. And believe me, that's not the end of it. But looking at this audience, it takes me back years when I was sitting in my college and we had those presentations happening for our campus recruitment. I could put myself in your shoes, and I was thinking exactly the way that you were thinking yesterday and you are thinking today, because I could sense that from the questions coming in from you. When you are sitting over there, you're thinking about, how can I get a job in this organization? I'm sure somewhere around a campus placement, you'll have a list of companies put over there, folks who are coming over here, and you'll mentally pick and choose those 3 or 4 companies where you would want to go and get a job. You would prioritize, this is my best, this is the best company that I would want to go to. But how do you differentiate, as Raj very beautifully mentioned, how do you differentiate? And that was a question that I had to one of my seniors when I was in my 3rd year in college in hotel management, way back, a couple of decades back rather. And one of the evenings we had these presentations happening in the auditorium, and the prospective employers were there, and they were giving a spiel. Hey, listen, this is what we do, this is what we are looking out for, blah blah blah. All fantastic. So my question to my mentor at that point in time and my senior was that, all of us, there were hundreds of us, all of us have done well in our studies. We have certainly secured certain percentage of marks, and there is no criteria that was mentioned by any of the prospective employers that you need to have a minimum of 80% or a 70% or a 95% and we'll give you a job. So how do they differentiate? And that's where I got my answer, which helped me crack the code at that point in time, and it requires investment, and I'll come to that. The answer was that you need to think through how do you differentiate yourself apart from the theoretical knowledge that you have, apart from the experience that the faculty would have provided you. And for that, you need to understand and know about those organizations beyond what they have presented to you. In our times, we did not have those many opportunities. And guess what I did? I was doing my hotel management in 3rd year, and we knew of a couple of good hotels around, and there was this quest, no questions asked. The senior said that, my mentor said that, no questions asked. The first weekend which came in after that, a couple of us, we just took a bus and went to a couple of hotels. I don't know how many of you know Delhi, but in Daulatma there are a couple of hotels next to each other. We have an ITC hotel, we have a Taj hotel over there. And we actually went inside the lobby and stood there. Of course we knew that we could not afford anything inside over there, but we stood there in the lobby, dressed prim and proper, nice, and just observe what's happening around. And from our theoretical knowledge, we could connect, oh, that's a front office desk. That's what the lady does over there. I see a guest coming inside, and I see somebody running to, greet the guest and trying to make the guest comfortable and escorting the guest to the desk. I see somebody giving or handing over a key and then somebody escorting the guest to the elevator. I see a lot of people going into the restaurant and doing some activity. We stuck inside the restaurant at the gate, very discreetly, of course. We didn't want to be shooed away. We did not have a purpose. But looked at how, the guests were getting served. Now, that itself was a huge amount of knowledge or a perspective that when we connected with our theoretical pieces which we had in our college, it gave us a lot of life. Now, the point that I'm trying to put across is that apart from what you've learned and the quest that you have to get employed in the best organization that you know of or that comes to your campus, there is a certain amount of investment that you need to do. And with that, I'll move on to my slides and tell you or share with you what is the industry looking out for from a talent standpoint when we are talking about recruiting talent, when we're talking about the talent required in organizations, and not just today, I'm talking about another 5 years down the line. What is that talent that industry is looking out for? Next slide. So just give you a perspective, a couple of slides. And we talk about human resources, and again, the perception that you might have, you have a typical human resources department, you have somebody who recruits you, you have somebody who takes care of all the grievances that you have, and you have somebody whom you can walk up to. Well, yes, that happens, but things are changing very fast. I can tell you that, because human resources, just like any other function, just like the industry, it is getting, for the lack of any other word, it is getting very futuristic. It's no longer just dependent upon people who are going to guide you, but it's also dependent upon a lot of tools and technologies which help augment the experience of employees in an organization. Next slide, please. And when you talk about tools and technologies, when you talk about organizations, even if at all we're talking about organizations that are based out of India, let's not even go to the global organizations. The mindset has changed. The mindset has changed to become a global organization. So what if at all we just operate in India? And what I mean by that is that you have a lot of tools, technologies, newer practices which are coming in. I'm sure all of you read the papers. I'm sure all of you browse through or watch it on TV channels, Twitter, Facebook. You do find, at least that's my count, every month, if at all you're keen to follow, there is one new human resources practice which gets embedded in the system. And believe me, 9 out of 10 times, it is one local organization based out of India. It's not a multinational. And what I see from an experience is that from our, the innovation that happens within this country, a lot of multinationals are actually picking up those innovative practices and embedding in their global environments. Now that's a moment of pride, and you see that happening very frequently, in this country. Next slide, please. And this is an IBM statement, skill is the new currency. And this is what our chairperson, I don't know how many of you would have heard the name, but the lady by the name of Ginny Rometty says. And she's been saying this since the past couple of years now. Skill is the new currency. No organization will survive if at all they do not have enough and more skills embedded within them. Let's face back, let's take a step back. Any industry, be it manufacturing, be it services, you name it. What is the industry? How does that industry develop? How does that industry come into existence? What is the common factor? Any guesses? It's the people. It's the people. So if you have any innovation happening anywhere, it is the human mind which is innovating those practices. Maybe, yes, we are leveraging tools and technology, fine. But who is giving that trigger to that tool or technology or those systems? It is people. If you're running a services organization, if you're developing software, who's developing that software? It is the people. And why are those people so important? Because they're skilled right. And that's the reason it is a currency. So if you are not, an organization does not employ the right skilled personnel, and they hence do not have the right skill, it will not survive. It will not progress. Now that's something which is common. Second part from the slide I would want to share with you is that, and some of our speakers did mention yesterday, today's work environment, today's professional work environment, I would say, is volatile, uncertain, it's ambiguous, it's complex. I don't have a term for it, but I would term that as business as usual. If you look around you, everything changes very fast, and some of us who are sitting in the front row, who have life experiences going beyond 20 years plus, I don't think in our age things used to change very fast. If there was a phone, and For us who picked up the first phone, Nokia phone, it used to look like a cordless phone today. It used to take a couple of years before the next model would come out. And if at all you go to a Samsung site today, I think you'll have more than 24 different models available, and every third month you'll have a new product coming out. That's the uncertainty that we're talking about. That's the uncertainty that every organization has in mind, and hence things are moving very fast. If things are moving very fast, as I mentioned earlier, you need to have the right skills. Now let me also clarify, Dr. Rupak mentioned about that. We have two different types of skills. One is your core skills, the technology that you are, you're specializing in, or MBA specialization that you're doing in. Those are core skills. But apart from that, you also need to have some other skills which help you support and augment your marketability to a different level. So social intelligence, adaptive thinking, cross-cultural competency, these are all new age skills which are required beyond what you learn in your college or in your school or from your textbooks or from the experience of your faculty. I'll not go into each one of them, but let me pick one which will resonate most with you. So how many of you think that you have social intelligence? Is that word a bit too complex? Yes? Okay, we have a couple of hands. I think we have some people can read through. But what do you mean by social? Okay, let me ask you a very simpler question. What do you mean by social? Are you guys social? Okay, let me even get a step below and ask you, how many of you have Facebook accounts? There you go. All of you are social. And how many of you leverage it beyond interacting and sharing what you are doing at that point in time? None. So social intelligence is just exactly what you do on Facebook. It's personal. You're sharing your thoughts, you're sharing your moments with your friends, with your family. You are getting updated on what's happening around, in your friend circle. But besides Facebook, you have so many tools available, professional or otherwise, where you can get a lot of information. A lot of information what's happening around in the world. Twitter is another one too. But again, the intelligence part comes in when you understand what are those right connections that you need to make. I might have a Twitter account and I might tag all my friends and tag them to me. Is that intelligence? Maybe not at this point of time in my career or my quest. I'm looking for a job. But maybe I would want to tag or get aligned to some organizations that I aspire to be in. And any message coming out from those organizations is what I will learn from. Now those are the skills that we need to develop, and that's what social intelligence is all about. Similarly, and these are all readable materials, so I'm not going to go again in depth, but if at all you want to note them down, browse. Each one of us knows what Google is, what does it do. Browse and educate yourself. Next slide, please. Now, HR professionals across the globe, they actually have a dilemma, and again, I'm referring back to what I just shared. Things are moving very fast in the industry. Today, I need X skill tomorrow, and tomorrow is as short as 3 months to 6 months time. I need Y skills, another 6 months down the line. I need Z skills, and that's a dilemma each organization is facing. Today, I need MBA marketing because I need to fill up positions in my marketing department. Tomorrow, I will not need MBA marketing, but I would need MBA or some kind of a specialization in sales with a blend of technology, somebody who has a technical background or has done his engineering and has done his MBA. Maybe that's the flavor that I need. Another year down the line, I might need something different. Now, what does it do? What is the dilemma? And Raj mentioned that, you have a select ratio which is marginally thin. You interview 100 people, you select only 5. That's a reality. And why does that happen? Because a match of skill set does not exist more often than not. Now, what does that mean? So if there is an organization has a certain requirement of a particular skill set, but it is not available, then those would lie vacant, because you really, as an organization, you really would not want to have the wrong person for the job. Because you're setting somebody up for failure, and that person and the organization loses as well. Now this landscape just gives you, I'm just talking about, I don't know how many again would have heard or read through, but these are the new skills, at least in technology domain, and to a certain extent I would say beyond technology domain as well, which are hot, and they will remain hot for the next 10 years at least. We're talking about cloud, we're talking about analytics, we're talking about mobile, social security. I can again talk about a couple of them. So, analytics, big data and analytics, big. How many of you have read up on analytics? Any clue? What does analytics mean? Any hands going up? No? Okay. So analytics is, let me give you a little bit of a context what analytics could be and how you could understand it a little bit better. So when you go to Facebook or when you go to any of these websites, even if you go to Google, you type in a word and Google throws up a list of sites which might be the relevant matches. Do you know how it happens? Is it random? Does it pick up randomly? No. How does it happen? Keyword search, okay. Beyond keyword search, there's an engine running at the back. Search engine. Now, how does the search engine make sure that if at all I'm sitting in India and I type, try doing that. If I type Apple, A-P-P-L-E, the first result which is going to come up is the Apple phone company. Does it lead me to the US side or the India Apple side? Why doesn't it lead me to the US side? Exactly. Now that's analytics. But if at all I go to the US and type Apple over there, would it lead me to India side or US side? On the same laptop. Thank you. Now that's analytics, because there is an algorithm working in the back end which makes sure that it picks up your location, preferences, your prior items that you would have put in the browser or in the search, what you've been looking out for. It will try and give you as much accurate result as possible. Of course, it can never be 100% accurate, but over the years, if at all you've been using these websites, even a website like Google, you will find that it is getting more accurate by the day. And that's where the analytics or the data, whatever you work on your system, gets picked up, gets analyzed, gets stored in the system, by your region, by your user type, and that's where you get the results. Now that's the power of analytics, and that's just one small little piece. It can go beyond, but industry today is trying to leverage on analytics as much as possible, because that's the way forward. We're getting smarter, we need to get smarter, and that's where we are. Next slide. Now those are the skills, I'm apart from, again, repeating, apart from the core skills, those are the essential skills or information that you need to have, especially when you are getting ready to get employed by any of the organizations. And again, I'm reiterating myself, but then we're not just talking about multinationals, we are also talking about India organizations which are investing heavily in those technologies. Hence, awareness of these technologies is critical and key. So apart from leveraging social media for Facebook, you should continue doing that. But leverage it beyond Facebook and your personal needs, also trying to find out what's happening in the world, what's happening in those organizations, what is the kind of skill set that they need, what is the technology that they need. And believe me, there are enough and more websites available where you can actually go and learn about something like analytics. So you've heard about Coursera? Yes? How many of you use it? Only a few. You have a lot of free courses available. You need to get educated. Okay? Now another, and this is the last slide, something again that each organization, this is under the ambit of talent management, is what they face is employee retention and engagement. So once you've been picked up by an organization, once you've been guided to do the job, what you've been selected for, there is a lot of focus, and that's the onus on the organization. There's a lot of focus which is there on engaging each and every employee within the organization. You would, again, and these are innovative practices, you would have heard or read in media, a lot about them is what are those meaningful employee experiences? What are those small little things that organizations do to engage their employees and hence retain them? Now, engagement does not just mean a lot of freebies coming your way you would not be tasked if at all you're not doing well, because in a typical services industry environment, you have a contract with a company and there are certain deliverables which have to be done in a certain amount of time. If you don't do that, then of course there is an issue. But then if you do that, great, fantastic, you're amongst one of those employees who are doing the job well. But where the organizations start investing more is on making sure that the work culture in that organization or any new organization is professional, it is engaging, and engaging again is not just related to, you have the HR folks or your managers speaking